Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with. We've got the King of Cups in its reversal in combination with the Devil card in its reversal. I like to describe and this is, remember when I said, this is why I was talking about the fact when we're going through eclipse processes, don't be emotionally led. When we go through eclipse processes, don't be emotionally led. Why don't we want to be emotionally led during eclipse cycles? Because emotions are fickle. They're fickle things. They change. They're energetically adaptable. And again, it's the space by which we understand and recognize that no two emotions are alike. The emotions that energetically fortify are the ones that we are able to pin towards our standards. Those are the emotions that usually don't go away. But when we're feeling temperamental, and I got to tell you right now, with all of these planets, we've got everything in Aries right now in retrograde, and even planetary bodies are in retrograde right now in Aries. Things that aren't even planets. Everything in retrograde. Okay? That's some cranky stuff. It can make you cranky. It can make you irritable. Uranus in retrograding in Gemini can also do that. The ability to identify, right? And to check in with the self and to be able to recognize and identify like what we're trying to do in a better way. The internal check-in fortifies because it's the observation if what we're feeling is momentary or if we always feel this way. Now, for a lot of the energy doing this work, I actually feel like, I gotta tell you, I do feel like there was a lot of, I want to describe it as like karmic leveling that was potentially happening in the span of this energetic eclipse cycle. But, and I want to describe that as, and I need to stress this, when we talk towards karma here, we're not just talking towards bad things happening, right? That's not what we mean by that. We mean the understanding of an energetic lesson that allows us to close or complete an energetic cycle. It's working through something in such a way that one understands what's happening. And this is often a misconception that happens in the context of spirituality, right? Spirituality is not the space by which one feels indulgent upon things. It's not the space by which everything feels good all the time or waiting for some like happy day celebration on things. Spirit, like the space by which we understand and work through the understanding of balance is the acknowledgement and understanding of what we're trying to put our sense of intention towards. And this is often why, and we got to talk about it. It's frustrating, right? It's frustrating when you're effectively trying to build a relationship with someone and they don't want the same things that you want. It's frustrating when you want to have a good relationship with someone, but they don't treat you well, right? And we often over internalize in those experiences. We sometimes go through the process of saying, if someone's not treating us right, we must be doing something energetically wrong, failing to recognize that that's not necessarily always the case. That the ability for us to, the ability that when we're working into relationship where someone isn't effectively treating us right, we're not working towards love, we're working towards mollification, right? Love does not require mollification, which is the space, it requires progression, which is the space by which, when you understand and identify what that energetic work is, the space by which we articulate the empathy that we have in terms of what it is that we're trying to achieve, and then having the conversation about how one can achieve it better, that is often what allows us to move into the space of healthy progression. But when we're building more in terms of mollification, it feels more about the space of looking towards something and seeing if it's okay again, but not like it's whether it's okay versus whether it's energetically exceptional. And this is why, and the reason I keep on hearing the word mollification coming up is because when like the difference between healthy healing versus something that feels more like an act of disassociation has to do with the difference between conversation and mollification. Now, what does conversation have? Conversation is the ability to be able to speak towards something, to understand the nature and the shape of it. And I got to point this out, even in the space by which we won't necessarily agree, right? Even in the space by which we might not necessarily agree with each other, the space to be able to articulate upon it allows for the understanding of what it is that we're trying to do in a better fashion. But this is why and the reason I keep on hearing this word mollifying coming up, and this is why, because we see a lot of those energies in separation working through moon cycles right now. When someone tries to come back to us, and there's the feeling that there's something between us that is energetically frustrating, and it isn't necessarily addressed, but someone tries to almost like smooth over it as if something didn't even occur. Like the observation of someone trying to come towards us in a mollification way is sometimes enough to build fundamental closure. It's like that's it. It's like the energy that goes, well, there it is, right? It's like working through something in such a way that the identification of what was wrong like allows for the observation of what one is working to move away from. And so I see here, I'm going to kind of go through what I keep on seeing, because there's something that we're happening right now. The energy in separation is in tears. And the reason I keep on hearing the energy in separation is in tears, I'm not saying tears, T-E-A-R-S. I'm not saying tears, T-E-A-R-S. I'm saying tears, T-I-E-R-S. The tears I see right now in separation, it's not to say that there isn't some energy here working towards restoration, but the restoration that we're potentially seeing has to do with energy that takes accountability for what they're effectively trying to do in a better way, what they're able to recognize. If these were separation moments where there was a fundamental difference or an argumentation point, this isn't the energy that goes away and then comes back to see if everything's okay again. This is the energy that comes back to someone investing the effort, articulating upon the fact that they're ready to energetically invest the effort to try to work towards something. Simultaneously, and I see a very small margin of that energy that's doing that work right now. A majority of the energy I see in separation is going through mollification lessons, which often lead to closure. And what does it feel like when we're going through a mollification lesson? It's the space where someone owes you an energetic apology. It's the space where another person needs to articulate upon that. But rather than articulating upon it, they come back to say, are you done yet? Right? It's the space to see, like the checking, to see if another person is still energetically upset. And that's why often when we experience those mollification lessons, it can feel devastating, because it's not the fact that you were waiting for someone to return back to you, but they're not returning in the proper form. Right? It's the energy that it's the observation of someone coming back that hasn't necessarily changed, is very much in the same way that we may have experienced when the energetic separation occurred. And the only way that resolves itself is, again, if we're going through eclipse cycle issues, which is the moment that we're bringing an overabundance of emotionality to something that was very marginal or small. But if these are situations, like a lot that I'm observing, where there's something fundamental that happened there, something that was important, something that bears being articulated or stated. This is why, if another person was waiting upon that, and instead, like when we're waiting for a conversation and instead someone brings a mollification, that can sometimes lead to a fundamental closure point, because it's not the feeling of someone that's working with the investiture of our emotions, but rather working in the context of identifying and recognizing that desire to see if someone has become energetically numb yet. So that's why I keep on seeing that the energy is like, I almost feel like there's some energy that is almost now going through a mourning process of letting something go that may have started or come into separation a few months ago, because it's that I keep on hearing it's like I keep on hearing like the energy that experiences that, feels the frustration, and then immediately starts building into the context of letting something go in a big way. For the energy, the relationships that are coming together right now, this is like, yeah, man, 10 of wands, and it's upright. These are relationships like lace. The reason I keep on seeing this is there's a lot of trepidation in these new partnerships that are occurring right now. And we always see a lot of this fragmentation when we first enter into a new energetic cycle of partnership. So what we're effectively seeing with a lot of this energy right now, you have to understand that there's something very important that's happening right now for some energy and separation, which is having experienced wounds due to another's self-deception. And the problem that is so painful when we've experienced wounds due to another's self-deception is that it's the feeling, and this is why it's so important we heal, because when we haven't healed our self-deception, we can't be taken at face value. When we haven't healed our self-deception, we can't be taken at face value, because it's the observation that a healthy manifestation is the space by which we articulate something, and then when we move in accordance to it. And we're never perfect in that way, right? We often identify that the space by which we're trying to do something, like that's why we articulate upon trying. But trying is blessed, because when you're trying to do something better, you're trying to find a way to be more effective. But when we're working too much in self-deception, we articulate that there's something that we want, but then we just sit there. We don't do anything. That's a wish, right? That's not a manifestation. That's a wish. And often wishes are built upon self-deception, because you articulate upon something that you desire, but you have no intention of going towards it, right? And I need to point out too, that in the context of knowing the self, we sometimes can have healthy wishes, right? There are things we sometimes wish we had within ourselves, but then we know they're not there. But we don't bludgeon ourselves with them, right? We don't carry that wish like an albatross. We just recognize and identify that that's, it's like a whim, right? That's the space by which the wish becomes a whim, because it's something that you say, oh, it would be, maybe in another life, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's a lot of that type of energy. But that's what I keep on seeing. What's basically happening right now, and this is why I keep on seeing these relationships are coming together and they're treading carefully towards one another, is because they're recovering from wounds of another self-deception, which is articulating that healing from a situation where a person articulated that they desired something, and they may not necessarily have even been lying about the fact that they desired it, but they hadn't healed enough from their own self-deception to realize that it's all talk. They were just saying that they wanted something, but they weren't necessarily able to do what is necessary in order to move to it. This is something that we need to address. And I'm going to tell you right now, we even have to talk about masculine and feminine energy, right? If you're a masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, and you say you want the ideal counterpart, you can't say in the same breath that you hate women, right? You just gave the universe a confusing code. You can't say I want a healthy counterpart with feminine. Oh, by the way, I hate all feminine. What have you done? Right? Simultaneously, we see this again often with feminine energy. Feminine energy can't be in the space that feminine energy articulates and says, I want a healthy relationship with masculine, and then says, I hate all men. For a lot of the energy in separation is working through the observation that the things that we often find frustrating in counterpart connection are energies that arrive to us in a state of self-deception. And a state of self-deception is someone who effectively articulates upon what they desire, but then does not do a single solitary thing to move in accordance to it. You can't say that you desire healthy partnership and you want the attention, you want a centered relationship, and then see someone giving you attention and say that they're being needy. You can't be in a space by which you say that you want a doting partner, and then feel that rigor if you're saying that they're always bothering you. You can't say that you want open communication with counterpart and then get upset if they're speaking to you frequently. It's the observation of understanding the self. And this is the thing about it. And this is why we talk about alignment. There is no rule for perfect partnership. There's nothing one can say that says this is what composes a perfect partnership. A perfect partnership is composed with alignment. And the way we come into alignment is being able to articulate upon what it is that we're looking for. But when we're not doing the work of introspection on the self, then we don't know ourselves, then we can't tell others what we want, and then we end up in relationships that do not feel like they serve or fit us or feel like they are in alignment to us. So we see even now that for a lot of these relationships, the reason that I keep on hearing they're not being fickle with each other, they're being energetically careful. They're being conscientious as it relates to what it is that they're looking for, and then ascertaining to see if not just what one is saying, but if something that they're doing feels like it's moving in accordance to that. If they feel like they're moving, if it feels like what they're receiving from one another is in accordance with what they say that they are articulating that they desire. While we see even now for some of those temperance relationships moving deeper into divine union right now, 4th and 5th cards in our 5-card spread. Ooh, Ace of Pentacles with the Star card in its reversal. I'm going to tell you it's an alignment day. Masculine and feminine are in alignment today. And I will also say that, and here's I'm just going to tell you something right now. Yeah, I know you guys are always asking me, like when masculine and feminine are in alignment, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. Alignment days, you usually don't see a lot of activation between masculine and feminine. If they're in separation, because there's these cards, like I want to show you right now. We got, and again, go ahead and look at the stack if you're on if you're listening to the podcast, because this is a very, very balanced first 5 cards we're drawing here. We've got masculine in King of Cups in its reversal. We got feminine in the Star card in its reversal. So this is the energy that is both navigating. I keep on hearing the doldrums of coming out of the eclipse process. I was calling it the ennui, right? We sometimes get, look, you see the ennui of the eclipse. The ennui of the eclipse, it can sometimes create feelings of exhaustion, things dragging on. The fact that we see even now, especially with so many of these planets right now in retrograde, I keep on hearing the interminability of this retrograde is getting the better of others, is what I keep on seeing. Because the thing is with this, I keep on saying the problem with this confluence of retrogrades is it's not like somebody hit a switch and all these planets went into retrograde. They went into it slowly. They'll come out of it slowly. So even I keep on hearing so what I told you, it can sometimes create a bit of a sinking feeling because we're effectively having the come down from the eclipse, which can feel very much like an elevator drop. And then we also are feeling that we're feeling the reassertion of the retrograde, because the eclipse was kind of counteracting some of that heaviness that we often feel in the retrograde cycles, as intense as this one. So I see here, this is feminine, potentially working on grounding right now. Masculine working on not being too, this is masculine, not being too in their feelings, as it were, is what I keep on seeing, especially with King of Cups. Remember how I was saying the waveforms in this retrograde were a little bit strange? That I was identifying that masculine and feminine were in different waveforms, which is not typical, is the best way to describe it. And I feel like, but what's nice about this, I need to stress this, and this is what we like to see with the 10 of Wands in its middle, in the center of the spread. They're both working very hard on energetic alignment, which is nice, because I keep on seeing when we are attuned, then we energetically tune in terms of how we're feeling, to recognize and identify if the feeling we're having is something that feels like it's in the moment, or if it's some way we always feel, is what I keep on seeing. But these cards are I know that they're different cards, but they're very, very similar. So this could be, it's feeling like a little hermit in here. Clarification between the King of Cups and our Devil card in its reversal, and the Devil card in its reversal. One card, please. Ooh, there's that Queen of Cups. Okay. But and I gotta stress this right now. There's something very significant that we're seeing in relationality to working through sensitivity is what I keep on seeing. There's a lot of, I keep on getting, there's a lot of compassion coming through the frequencies right now. And why are we potentially seeing some of that compassion right now? It has to do with all that Libra energy that's coming in. It's just, Libra, it's like Libra energy to the rescue, as it were. And I have to say, like, this is probably like, if there's any energy right now, and that's the thing about it. And I need to clarify this to help understand. I'm not throwing shade on Virgo energy. Okay. I'm not throwing shade on Virgo energy. The difficulty, and that's why I said I felt bad. I feel like this Virgo season was probably very hard for those with Virgo placements, because the thing is, Virgo energy seeks perfection. And the fact that we were going through Virgo season with a dual force of the incongruity of the eclipse with all the retrograde energy. The thing about that retrograde, I kept on calling it a cryptic eclipse because it was incongruous. It's incongruous energy. You wouldn't like it. It feels like oppositional. It was building into the polarity space. It's hard to find ideal when we're going through incongruous cycles. So in a way, the nice thing about this is the way I want to describe it is the Libra energy is better equipped. Okay. The Libra energy is better equipped to handle the retrograde, because the Libra energy effectively works towards balance. But the thing we have to understand when it comes to balance cycles, and this is often like every sign has different work they're here to do. Balance isn't about coming to the rescue, right? And this is often what those with like Libra placements have to understand and work through. Balance isn't about coming to the rescue. It's about being energetically proportional in terms of what things need, right? And so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of granularity that is happening right now as it relates to conversation, or as it relates to working through circumstances or situations. Now, for the energy in separation, and I keep on seeing the granularity is creating. I've got three different tiers right now happening in separation, and we got to go through them all because we just started a new partnership cycle. So there's going to be a lot of granularity there. The energy that is working on restoring or resolving things is being very granular in relationality to being able to articulate to each other, being able to work through something in such a way that one is able to articulate the difference between then and now, is what I keep on hearing. Like, that's what I mean about some of that granularity that I'm picking up upon. Right? I keep on, like, I was reading for this yesterday, and some of the energy that's coming into resolution. I've had a lot of time to think about things, but the thinking about things is, again, when we're thinking about something heavily, we often get very granular about it. And the granularity of it allows us to be able to understand and define what's giving meaning to it. While for the energy, and this is what's happening for a lot of those closures, the granularity of a situation where one recognizes that they weren't necessarily waiting for someone to come back to them, but wanting for them to come back granular, right? The space by which one is able to come back, not in the space of saying, I'm ready to talk to you. Like, I'm ready to smooth things out, right? Because that's not granular. There's no granularity in trying to smooth things out. Granularity comes in being able to say, I'm willing to talk about something, to understand and define upon it better. So this is why it's like, I keep on hearing it's like the energy in separation is building a manifestation on like granular or never, right? It's a space by which one says it's not enough to just come back if there was a situation or circumstance where there was some kind of argumentation point in standards not being arrived to. Right? Because when another person comes back and says, are you done arguing about that? And someone being like, what, arguing my standards? Like, we never stop arguing our standards. We get granular upon it. So this is the energy that says granular or bust, right? It's the energy that says granular or bust, because that granularity is what allows a relationship to move into the space of being energetically exceptional. And I've got a lot of the energy right now that is building into new relationship contexts that is looking for granularity in the counterpart. And the granularity in counterpart is the detail by which another person is able to articulate what it is that they want, but then they're able to specifically get into it. Like it's not just a blanket statement. It's the space by which another person is able to sort something through to such an extent that they're able to define and articulate upon what it is that they're bringing meaning towards. So there's something very important that we're effectively seeing in those modalities or in those experiences. Now, this brings us to this brings us to a lot of those temperance lessons. And this is funny because I told you yesterday there was an alignment day. This is the alignment day. We were leading into today's alignment day because this feels very aligned, this reading. But the granularity I'm seeing here is someone almost saying to counterpart, I'm ready to tell you all the details, all the gory details on something I glossed over. I keep on hearing someone say, I'm ready to tell you all the glory, all the glory. It's funny I said it's funny I was going to say gory details, but instead I heard glory details. But the reason I keep on hearing the glory details is because I keep on seeing that these are relationships that have been through some heavy stuff. These are some relationships that have been through some stuff, like they've been through the ringer with some people. And I keep on seeing that the ability of not going into detail on that was almost like, I keep on hearing they were sparing each other of the details, right? It's almost the energy that said, like, I go through it so you don't have to. Clarification between our Devil card in its reversal and our 10 of Wands. This is from the bottom of the deck that slipped out. We've got here our the four of Swords in its upright. That's further confirmation on that, right? And I keep on hearing, because I feel like there's something beautiful about the fact that I keep on hearing the energy moving into divine union keeps on saying to one another, I'm not defined by my history, right? And it has to do, I keep on seeing like there's something very important that keeps on coming through in relationality to how we work through trauma. And the reason I keep on seeing this is because there are different, like we talk about this, there's different spaces that we find as it relates to healing. Sometimes it's good to talk about things. Sometimes it's good not to talk about things. And I keep on hearing that there was something about that past that used to be all they could think about. And I keep on seeing, it's like the energy that says to one another, I'm not centering upon that now, right? It's like the energy that was like, did not go into the details on something, not because they were trying to avoid talking about it, but they were sparing each other of it. And the reason that they were energetically sparing one another of it has to do with the fact that they were articulating that it's something behind them, not before them. But that's what I keep on seeing, that to a certain extent, like that ability of having that conversation, doing that work, like this is the energy that is starting to get more granular in telling each other the story of what effectively occurred before they came into contact with one another. And even there, I keep on seeing that has more to do with the fact that they're moving towards enmeshment, right? They're moving towards that ability of refining and defining what it is they're trying to do in a better fashion. This brings us to the energy that's deep within divine union, clarification between our 10 of Wands in its upright and our Ace of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Strength card in its upright. And what are we energetically seeing with the Strength card in its upright? So for the energy deep within divine union, there's something very significant and important that we're effectively seeing in relationality to finding, like, this is the energy that is, I keep on hearing them say centering partnership is hard work. And why are they saying that centering partnership is hard work, because they're effectively saying centering partnership is hard work due to the fact that they're observing that never before, like I keep on hearing that for some of these relationships, remember, these are the magician partnerships that came together from about the time of the solstice period up until the time of Mercury and Venus stationing direct behind Neptune. They've been in relationship before, but I just keep on hearing never like this. Never have they been so invested. I keep on hearing never have they centered in relationship more than they are at this moment. And there's something significant about that centering that is speaking towards the observation that they're seeing things occur outside of the orbit of partnership. They're seeing something that is occurring outside of the orbit of partnership that is, I keep on seeing, devastating and breathtaking, because not only do they see it and they're energetically saddened by it, but they also understand it because they can remember a past version of self that may have experienced it in the space of not being in partnership. And so for a lot of that energy, it's like working on, like I keep on hearing, they're building into their energetic resolve. And that's why I keep on hearing they're building into their energetic resolve by healing their relationship to Saturn, which is often when we see situations happening like that, it's almost the energy that's not trying to force a connection if another person feels like they're ruminating on the celebration of partnership, but rather they're hoping that Saturn can heal that as they themselves continue forward into time. Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Pentacles and our Star card in its reversal. Oh, we've got here the Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. The one thing I'm going to say right now with this energy is I told you, typically coming out of eclipse cycles can feel like a little bit of rough territory. It can always feel very rough when we're coming out of eclipse cycles, just given the fact that the energy starts to like ease back, as it were. But what we really want to make sure that the reason that this one coming out of this eclipse cycle might feel even more heavy has to do with the fact that we're already in a retrograde season. We're in a very intense retrograde season. So make sure that you are being energetically proportional as it relates to how you may be experiencing some of that heaviness, as it were. And I keep on seeing, like, even in the context of it, sometimes brings out feelings of exhaustion. It sometimes can just, it's like drowsy energy is how I like to describe it. Make sure that you're prioritizing that rest and that care of yourself, and make sure more than anything, you're not projecting any of that irritability in terms of those around the self, right? Like I keep on hearing, you've caught me at a bad time is a very good way, is like a very good way to, you've caught me at a bad time is like a very good way to kind of like move through something to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like it allows for that ability of just like understanding where some of that crankiness is. One moment. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Cups in combination with our Four of Swords and its upright. Ooh, we got a lot of four energy on the table right now. So let's talk a little bit about this four energy that we're seeing. And this is what I mean. Like, this is what I mean about, like the thing with this, like the thing with the eclipse cycle. And I've been trying to describe this, like the eclipse cycle energy was very spiky. And the reason that this eclipse cycle energy was very spiky had to do with the fact that the retrograde feels like it's forcing things down, right? And the eclipse wants to expand them. So it can feel like a lot of like, it felt like it was like, there was a lot of vibration that was happening in the space of navigating that energy that we've been experiencing over the last couple weeks. And now it just, like, it just stopped. Like, it just like, it just feels like it stops very suddenly. So you might be feeling like, I want to say, don't rush through things right now. Okay? Like take things, like I keep on hearing, take things easily. And I also keep on seeing like, this energy is distracting today. It's distracted, right? It's a little bit, it's a lot of that distraction point. So just make sure that you're articulating and defining upon that, because everything I keep on seeing there, it's a lot of, I keep on hearing, it's a lot of that space by which we're able to articulate and amplify our own, like our own energetic frustration. But I keep on seeing it's the space by which we articulate our energetic frustration. And I keep on seeing like the irritability that sometimes comes through in this energy is best navigated through the conversation with the self, or through the ability to articulate upon what is bothering the self, because that's the difference between feeling the irritability of a moment versus what is identified as like the consistent irritability of something that one is working on doing in a better fashion. Now, for a lot of the energy in separation right now, like this is what I mean, like the energy, how do I describe that? The energy in separation right now, in terms of those tears that I'm seeing, this is, I want to show you right now. I'm just going to show you these cards so you can get a sense of what I'm seeing. These are the 3 tears that I see right now in separation, right? And it's perfect articulation. So for those who are watching listening to the podcast, I'm holding up the Queen of Cups, the 4 of Swords, and the 4 of Wands in its reversal. So the 4 of Cups in its upright, this is what we're talking about that margin of energy that is working on restoration. And the margin, the restoration is the granular restoration. It's the ability of saying like, look, I've thought about something. I want to tell you like, that's not okay. Like it's the space by which another person articulates something that they're working on doing in a better fashion. We also see that for some of this energy here, that the space by which we identify and recognize, the space by which we identify and recognize the difference, like when we're, and this is what happens, right? When we're expecting granularity of an apology, and instead we see someone that comes towards us acting like nothing happened, or just trying to energetically smooth something over, it sometimes creates that fundamental closure. Because for a lot of that energy, the observation of potentially having moved into separation in the middle of an argument is what I almost see. Like the separation of moving into separation in the midst of an argument, right? Someone that did not effectively continue a conversation, and rather than coming back towards another to continue the conversation, but tries to effectively smooth over something, right? To see if something, when someone tries to smooth over something, it's like they're returning to still see if something is important to another. And that's why I keep on seeing that like I keep on hearing, I keep on saying it's like the hardening of the self that reaffirms one's own energetic commitment towards a closure point, right? I keep on hearing it's the double negative of a deaffirmation, right? Because when we articulate to someone that there's something that's bothering us and we work through it, but instead, and another person knowing that all they need to do is continue that conversation, but instead of that conversation occurring, they just proceed back towards us as if nothing has happened. That I keep on hearing that double affirmation in relationality to something, like to something not addressing an energetic concern, is creating the fundamental closure of a lot of unhealthy karmic cycles. And that is, I keep on seeing, I keep on hearing like that observation, right? It's almost like the observation of the relationship that cannot stand the test of a healthy conversation. That's it, the closure, the healthy closure point of a relationship that cannot stand the weight of a healthy conversation. Continuing to get clarification between, and then meanwhile, that the third organ, like the third tier I'm seeing right now for energy and separation, has to do with those, like it has to do with the energy deep within divine union. And not the energy deep within divine union, but it does have to do something with the energy deep within divine union, because what we're effectively seeing there is healthy trepidation as it relates to energy that's been wounded by other self-deception, which is the energy that hears somebody articulate about what their manifestation goals are. And it's like hard because I almost see the energy being like, right. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're almost saying right. Like, it's like, yeah, like, it's like the space by which another person says that they want something. But the reason I keep on seeing right, why they're saying right, is because they keep on hearing right thoughts, right action, which is the space by which it's not just enough to have a right thought. You have to act in accordance with the right thought. You have to have the right action towards it. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Swords in combination with our Strength card. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. Wow, we were heavy on the sixes yesterday. Today we're heavy on the fours. There's still some six energy on the table. And this is why, like, I keep on saying, for the energy that's moving deeper into divine union, those temperance relationships that were coming together from the time of the Uranus stationing retrograde prior to the eclipse up until the time of the solstice. I just keep on seeing that these are the energies that say to one another. I keep on hearing the energy going into detail. They're no longer sparing each other the gory details on an unpleasant experience of the past, right? This is the energy that's saying, like, I'm ready to talk about it. I'm ready to tell you, because I keep on seeing, it's like I feel like this is the energy that like went through some heavy trauma with someone. And I keep on hearing, the reason I keep on saying I wanted to spare you of it is I keep on hearing, when we go through heavy trauma, sometimes the space, but like I keep on hearing, like, and this is what I mean, like I keep on hearing it's like about healthy carrying, which is when we go through a lot of trauma, there's a season, I keep on hearing there's a season to unpack it, right? And then there's a season to put it away. And this is the energy that's almost saying, like, the space by which they didn't articulate the full depth of a trauma that they experienced or occurred with another was not because they were trying to avoid the conversation, but they were trying to spare one another of experiencing and encountering, I keep on hearing, even an iota of the trauma that they experience in a situation. You know, like I just keep on seeing that that's the energy that, like, kind of, it's like they work through something in a way. And I keep on hearing them say, like, the apology that they're giving to one another has to do with the fact that they didn't, I keep on hearing it's like they didn't want to put their energetic trauma on display to one another. I keep on hearing someone say, like, I didn't want you to think of me just as it relates to something that happened to me, is almost what I keep on hearing. But that's why I feel like there's something really beautiful that's happening in some of those relationships as it relates to healing the wounds of trust. Continuing to get clarification here for the energy deep within divine union, these magician relationships, clarification between our Strength card in its upright and our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. We've got here the Hermit card, and it's, remember I said, like hotcakes, man. You know, it's funny because the Hermit card does not like to come out in my spreads too frequently. That and the Queen of Swords, but you know, they were here yesterday, they're here today, they're here in the reversal today. And that's what's like, and here's what's hard about it. And the reason what's hard with the Hermit in its reversal in combination with the Ace of Cups in its upright is the fact, and I keep on hearing, I know this is going to sound wild, but I almost hear the energy. I can almost hear the energy in separation, talking to one another and saying there are some conversations not worth having. And why are they saying that there are some conversations not worth having? Because I keep on seeing the problem with the Saturn lesson is that if there is something that Saturn can solve and only Saturn can solve it, trying to intervene on Saturn's behalf sometimes creates a whole different issue, is what I keep on seeing. This is what the energy deep within divine union is working through. They're understanding that there are some things that only Saturn can solve. You can't force wisdom into things, which is to say, if these are relationships that are working on feeling the consequences, another person's emotional consequences to them moving into divine union, potentially feeling a moment of celebration, but another person is experiencing it as a feeling of rumination. This is the energy that articulates and says that sometimes to intervene in Saturn's behalf makes something worse instead of better. Because if someone is going through, that working through the feelings of seeing someone else centering into partnership, and it's bringing up unhealthy things in them. Having a conversation about it will often worsen things instead of make them better. Right? It's not that, like, I keep on hearing sometimes we feel things and we know and recognize that we're not okay with feeling them, but yet we can't help feeling them. And that's why I keep on seeing, like, the funny thing about it, the magician relationships are basically talking to each other about the fact that you can't touch Saturn's problems. You can't touch Saturn's problems. You touch Saturn's problems, they sometimes get worse instead of better. Continuing to get clarification, because I keep on hearing, because when you touch Saturn's problems, you create complexes. When you touch Saturn's problems, you create complexes. Because if someone's going through an egoic issue because somebody's centering partnership and you try to articulate upon it, you create a complex. And now, like, when you try to solve Saturn's problems, you create complexes, is what I keep on hearing. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Six of Swords in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through with the Ace of Wands in its reversal. A lot of ace cards out today, my friends. A lot of ace cards. I got to stress, though, we had this card yesterday. Same row. Not the same row. It was one above. So we've got the Ace of Wands that is moving more into the pinnacle. So the Ace of Wands, we like to see an Ace of Wands in its reversal. We like to see an Ace of Wands in its reversal. Why do we like to see an Ace of Wands in its reversal? Because effectively, an Ace of Wands in its reversal speaks to us. It speaks to us effectively on how we're trying to do something, right? And I keep on hearing sometimes the best way of getting something done is by addressing the energetic hurdle, right? Like, that's what I keep on seeing, right? It's like it's working through, like it's like it's working through energetic hurdles that, like, allows us to, and I feel like there's something interesting here. Because I keep on hearing, like, I gotta drill down into this for the energy and separation. The negative that becomes a positive is what I keep on hearing. And the reason I keep on hearing that is because I keep on hearing better to know is what I keep on getting. And why do I keep on hearing better to know for the energy and separation? Because I feel like I'm gonna work through the three different tiers that I'm seeing right now in separation to clarify why we're seeing, like, I keep on hearing better to know across all of the modalities in separation right now. For the energy that is working on restoration, right? That margin where someone's talking about the overabundance of emotionality they brought to something that was not important. The better to know is coming through, right? Like, it's giving me the better to know is coming through in terms of another person saying, I just wanted to tell you. And that's what's beautiful about it. It feels like true apology energy, because true apology energy comes with what? Zero expectations, right? It comes with zero expectations. So that's what's beautiful, is, like, I keep on seeing there is a margin of energy right now that is working through true apologies, which is the space by which another person gives someone an energetic apology, not for the sake of trying to change something, but more from the space of wanting to relieve themselves of it. Like the space by which they articulate something and say, it's important for me to let you know that I energetically observe something. And I keep on seeing, and I feel like what's beautiful about that is I literally see a vector of someone saying, do with that what you will, right? Like the observation of someone articulating to another and saying, I don't pin an expectation. We don't pin things on promises, which is the space by which we say we don't give someone a promise with the hope that it will allow us to get something back in exchange. It's not something that we're expecting. So we keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, the true apology is articulated in another saying, look, I'm giving this to you not because I'm expecting something to change as a result of it. I'm giving it to you because you deserve it. It's something that and like often we go through that work when we're working on energetically healing the self, because it's the space by which we give something to another without the expectation that allows for the point of energetic celebration. It allows for the space of being able to articulate and identify what it is that we're meaning on doing better. And this brings us to the energy that is moving deeper into divine union. And what are we effectively seeing with the energy that is moving deeper into, and so this is the energy, but here's the thing, and when it's funny too, is about to say the other energy in separation. The reason it's funny that I'm saying the energy in separation that's moving deeper into divine union, hate to see it, is what I keep on hearing. There's some energy right now that's coming into healing and separation by saying hate to see it. And when do we have experiences that we say hate to see it? Because hate to see it is the moment, like I keep on seeing that there's energy right now that was in separation, that was waiting potentially for energy from the past to re-arrive. That there was some proportionality of hope that they were maintaining in the relationality to another person returning back to them. But returning back to them isn't the issue. It wasn't the fact that they were waiting for someone to return back to them. They were waiting for someone to return back to them granularly, which is the space by which another person is ready to continue an energetic conversation, the work that is effectively identified in being able to articulate upon something that allows us to be able to bring or define meaning towards it. And that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of those relationships, that experience where they were waiting for someone to come back to them granularly, which is the ability for another person to return to have a conversation. But instead of having a conversation, they're just approaching them in the space by which they're acting like nothing, like almost like checking energy, right? Like trying to come towards another person flippantly, like not trying to come towards another person flippantly and not having the energetic reverence and relationality to what they're working to heal. This is why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, that is the moment of being able to effectively end, like I keep on hearing the space by which they're ending an energetic cycle, because I keep on hearing, it's like they're allowing the space to have a conversation. And this is almost like I keep on hearing it's the double negative of someone effectively coming back towards the retrograde. And in the space by which they're having that, they're not receiving the conversation, but rather they're experiencing the mollification. And I keep on hearing the mollification is allowing them, I keep on hearing even in the context of the mollification, it's allowing them to be able to move into a deeper state of healing, because it's the observation of understanding and recognizing the disparity of standards. Now, this brings us to the energy that is moving into partnership right now. We're starting to build into partnership and separation. For a lot of those relationships right now, everything I keep on seeing in those experiences has to do with, I keep on hearing there's a tenderness. There's a tenderness they're bringing into this. It's not, I keep on hearing it's not hesitation, it's trepidation, having experienced the fact of being injured by wounds of another person's self-deception. And when we're injured by wounds of another person's self-deception, I keep on seeing it's like they're having a hard time taking one another at face value. They're trying to. Right? They're trying to give each other the benefit of the doubt, but it's hard. It's difficult, especially with so much of these planets in retrograde, right? It's hard to find hope when we've got a lot of planets in retrograde like this. But I keep on hearing, even like trying, we find hope in the trying, is what I keep on hearing, right? Like hope is generated when we try, is what I keep on seeing. We make hope when we try. So I keep on seeing like that's the energy that's like, I keep on hearing like the energy that's saying like it's funny because they're saying they're trying, but the guys are saying they're not trying, they're doing. Because to feel the heaviness of the retrograde and still energetically try, like that's the energy that's literally generating hope as they continue to do so. Continuing to get clarification between our Six of Swords in its reversal and our Hermit card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Wow! Ace of Swords Ace of Swords in combination with the Ace of Wands in its reversal. I love to see that. Guys, make sure that you go see today's spread. If you head over to the stack to look at a picture, this is a very Libra. This is a very, 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 very Libra spread. It is really exquisitely balanced. So what we're effectively identifying here, and we've got three of the four ace cards out. We've got 3 of the 4 ace cards out. So for the energy deep within divine union, this is why I told you, this is the energy deep within divine union, handing the baton to Saturn. This is what's happening right now. There's a maturation process. And it's hard. Maturation processes bring gravity to things. I keep on seeing some of these magician partnerships going, I get it now. I get the energy going, I get it now. Some of this energy deep within divine union just going, I get it now, right? And why are they saying I get it now? Because that not only are they handing something off to Saturn, but they're remembering a situation where someone wouldn't talk to them about their feelings. There is some energy right now that is going through some serious deja vu. Not only experiencing something where they're feeling the weight and enormity of what occurs outside of partnership when we start to center partnership, but simultaneously remembering a time where they themselves are like, no one would have been able to talk to me back then about it, right? It's like they're seeing another person's like delulu to a certain extent and being like, no, I remember it too. It's the energy. It's like, but I keep on seeing it's the rumination, right? It's like when I keep on hearing it's the same message. When you're going into a point of celebration and you see another person ruminating on your celebration, trying to impact their rumination doesn't fix things. It often makes it worse. So that's why I keep on seeing that this energy is like they're like literally high-fiving Saturn because they're like, can you please, like Saturn's like, just give it to me. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Like Saturn's going, just give it to me and I know you want to touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. It's like, do not touch it. You will make it worse. Don't pick it. Don't pick it. Final card for today's spread between our Ace of Wands and our Ace of in its reversal and our Ace of Swords in its upright. Woo! We got that Knight of Pentacles. Nice. It's nice grounded energy. This is such a Libra spread. Welcome to Libra season. I gotta say, Libra is going to help us out right now, my friends. Okay. The Libra, and I need to stress this. It is not, okay, and this is not to say, I need to explain this clearly so you make sure that you don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It is not to say that there is every single energetic frequency has benefits and detriments to it. One of the things that was making this most recent eclipse process difficult, I was saying the same exact thing when we were going through Pisces season. Pisces, I felt so bad for Pisces this year. They had the trashiest of trash of times for them to be going into Pisces season. Because what was happening during Pisces season, all of the flippin' planets were moving out of Pisces into Aries. Do you know the abandonment wounds that were potentially coming up in Pisces as they were going through their season and they were seeing every single planet shifting into Aries, like in the middle of their season, like even if they weren't experiencing, like they were experiencing it potentially emotionally, right? It's a lot. Simultaneously, this energy right now that there's been going on for those with Virgo seasons can also feel like very, very heavy. Very, very difficult because it's working through. Often those with Virgo placements come looking for they look for perfection. So to go through Virgo season in the culmination of incongruent energy, which is the retrograde in combination with an eclipse, that's incongruous. It can feel very, very messy. So the thing is about it, Libra handles messy energy better because Libra is all about balance, right? Libra sees messiness and just goes, oh, I know how to fix it. You know what I mean? Like Libra is like, and we're going to balance it. You know what I mean? It's more about the proportionality of things. So I feel like that, like the fact that we've got Like, and I even like the fact that we're coming out, like the one benefit that we have right now is we're coming out of all that Virgo energy because Mercury moved into Libra just a few days ago. And now we're in Libra season, right? And now the eclipse is pulling back down, like pulling, like moving away from it. So it can help us start seeing things and feeling a little bit more even keeled. It can allow a little bit of more proportionality. This is why I was telling you to please, 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 please don't be energetically reactive during eclipse cycles, right? Just allowing the observation of being able to identify and recognize what one is working on doing and bringing that proportionality to things. So just kind of allow that to help you right now. And I'm going to say, again, it's not the fact that this energy is still not getting the better of those, or like who aren't so much working on this energy right now. If you're not doing your shadow work, is bad, because it's potentially seeing the worst in things because you're projecting it out onto things. So make sure that I keep on getting the same messages. Remember, hope is found in the trying, right? When we can't find hope, we create hope when we try. So make sure that if you're not finding hope, make sure you're trying to find hope. And we try to find hope through action. Simultaneously holding compassion for those that are trying. And I keep on pointing out, holding compassion for those who are trying are those who are trying to energetically understand something, those who are trying to work through something. This is why we can't get hard lined on things, because when we build hard lines, we stop seeing trying. So being able to do the work and understanding the difference between someone being hard-lined about something versus someone trying often frames the space by which we understand why we move our compassion in different places. It doesn't make sense to put our compassion into a hard line situation, because when someone's got a hard line and they're not being energetically compassionate, there's no amount of compassion that you can bring to it. But when someone is trying, right? When someone's trying to understand something, when someone's trying to learn something, then the compassion can have profound changes. It can have profound effects. It can give something energetic wings, because you're giving someone the thing they need in order to effectively get there. So, and that's what I mean about Libra energy. Libras are amazing as it relates to proportionality. Where they should be. That's the problem. Often the problem with Libra is sometimes Libra arrive here trying to give balance to everything. And then they come into the understanding that not everything is worth balancing. Balancing is something that another person needs to You can't add balance to a situation that wants to be energetically imbalanced. And when you try to bring balance to an imbalance point, it'll continue to become more imbalanced. So the ability to understand the difference between balance and proportionality, we're going to be going through this a lot right now because Uranus is in Gemini. Continuing bottom of the deck right now, six of cups. The ability to heal is healing is not one-sided. There is the difference between mollification and healing is the ability to meet into a space where you can agree on things, right? This is often why we understand that when we try to heal with someone who's hard-lined, it feels more like we're trying to energetically mollify them, right? And mollification is not healing, because all you do when you mollify someone who's in a space of being hard-lined is they say, oh, good, I can be hard-lined like this, and you're just going to try to make it easier for me, right? It's the space by which we understand that healing requires mutual effort to do the work, right? And this is often why we sometimes this is why we often talk about some conversations are not worth having. Right? This is often why our patience runs thin, because the breath of patience is supplied by progress. It's the progress we give to things that creates more patience. But that's why we often move away from circumstances or situations where we sometimes realize that there's an energetic imbalance in a relationship where we're constantly trying to energetically mollify something, and another person doesn't do the same work to try to heal something, but instead almost feels like they make it worse, right? And it's sometimes those modalities by which we identify like the difference between something that we're constantly trying to move in a positive direction versus someone who refuses to change or refuses to observe like what that work is, that sometimes allows us to move away from it, because it's a space. I keep on hearing not everything is worthy of an energetic conversation, particularly as it relates to our standards. And this is often when someone is talking, like, this is why we say, like, if someone's having a conversation about something that's completely inappropriate, it's okay to say, like, I don't need to talk to you about that because that's not even something that I would entertain, right? It's a space by which we understand that the space by which we find alignment is by the mutual holding of our standards. And there are moments, right? There are effectively moments sometimes where another person does not understand our standards, right? And and what happens when we do the work to educate another? There are moments that we can take someone who doesn't understand something and we can provide that information, we can provide that understanding, and that clarification absolves them, because then they come into a deeper moment of understanding. And that is often like, that's hard and rigorous, but the reason we can amplify the fact that the work is important is because we see someone that desires to understand, right? The focus on healing has to be a desire to get better. But when someone does not think that there is anything wrong and you're constantly trying to make something better, that can often feel like the space by which you feel like you are being mollified because another person is just coming towards you in a way that they haven't changed. But meanwhile, you are actually mollifying them, because all you've taught them in that moment is they don't need to change, because why would they? Because they're just getting the same from you. So I keep on seeing that there's a lot of work that's happening right now as it relates to nuance and relationship, understanding the difference between what feels energetically supportive of the self versus something that feels like it's not okay, but feels like something that you're constantly, like, it's the space by which another person has empathy in relationality to how we're navigating something. And I keep on hearing the empathy must be mutually shared in order for something to be effective. Because when you try to, again, it's a difference between working from a space of dispassion versus compassion. Because when we're too protective, when we're too focused on protecting the self, we become the energetic source of trauma. We become the source that sometimes feels painful. So I keep on seeing that this may be this is a little bit of the work that we're coming out of the retrograde with, because the nice thing about eclipses is that the benefit of eclipse is it sometimes takes something that's small and allows us to energetically magnify it to be able to understand it in a deeper way. So I almost feel like there's something important that's happening in the space of this retrograde that is allowing energy to work through things with that deeper lens. That is where we find all of the energy. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind that if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Also, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. Also, I want to give you guys a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who attended our recent class on the star card last week. I had such a lovely time being able to go over that card with you. The next class we'll be hosting will be held on Wednesday, October 15th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the moon card. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat. And again, you don't have to catch up for the classes. I do my best to give you an update on everything we studied. Now is a great time if you want to catch up because you've got a whole month ahead of you. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my stack, not only will you receive a discount on the whole year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. That is access to over 18 hours worth of material in a never expanding library. You'll also have access to a one-on-one mentorship class with me if you choose to have one, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best impact moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also have access to my Mystic Meditation articles, which I release bi-monthly that walk you through the energy that we're currently experiencing. I just wrote one to help us navigate through this new moon that we just experienced over the weekend. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students that are seeking that are seeking to learn more about their own personal path work or studying into their own spiritual practices. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or on a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.